Well, hello, my beautiful creatures and devil worshippers. I'm just kidding, sort of. No, seriously. Welcome to the channel. I have 3 cards. These cards are very important, I promise. This will confirm the energy for what we're talking about. The topic today is spiritual ego. So, what is spiritual ego? How does that differ from regular ego? Are really they any different? Well, I'll talk to you in terms of labels, obviously, because everything really is just a label if you really understand that. But to get started, I'm going to do a quick little reading just to, again, confirm the energy. And to get the first card was material happiness. So, what does this have to do with spiritual ego? Well, I'll tell you, because spiritual ego is what's going to bring material happiness into your life. Like, what? How? Because we really have to speak with moral integrity, and that doesn't necessarily go along with others and their moral integrity. So it really goes along with a lot of things apparently, and it's about speaking with conviction, speaking your truth, and being true about what you preach. So practice what you preach, because that will bring material happiness. And like, that's not, don't get it conflicted with materialism. This, like, apparently you need money to survive. I mean, yes, we should be growing our own gardens, but it takes resources to do all of these things in a real logical sense. So material happiness will bring forth through spiritual ego, because you are standing in your truth. You know exactly why you're saying the things that you're saying. Again, speaking with conviction. Now, the devil card is our next card. Why did we pull that? Because this has a lot to do with godly conviction, moral conviction, and it's not the judgment card, but I really do feel like it goes a lot with spiritual judgment. So really being true to yourself will get you on the right path for your spiritual guidance, your spirituality, and just bring you to where you were meant to be. Because I truly, truly believe that we all have these paths that we have been given, and it is, of course, our choice. We have free will here to decide exactly what path we take and where we're going to end up, and that goes along with morality and spiritual ego. And yeah, this is a very important card for a lot of reasons, and I'll get deeper into that later. But the last card that we have is the King of Swords. Now, what is this? This is divine protection. This is divine guidance. A lot of us, we are connected through, spiritual feminism, I guess divine feminism, dark feminism, whatever you want to call it. It's really about being connected on a spiritual, intuitive sense. I truly believe with divine feminine, but then we have divine masculine, which is very more so about moral. No, I'm not saying the feminine powered, like, don't get it. We're not doing genders in one's greater than the other. They're equally important, is my main point. But this card represents spiritual guidance, spiritual protection. You see how he's got this like golden sword. He's got all this golden aura about him. This is about walking your path, walking your truth, and that is I guess I'll just beat to the chase here. Like, that is the most divine point that you can really make here, is going through with your spiritual intuition and really doing what's right based on your own moral integrity. But of course, we all learn through each other, and I've talked about this before, like the mirror. I'm pretty sure there's an older video I have about like spiritual mirrors. I don't think that's what it's called, but you can tell there's a mirror in the picture. But you know what I mean? Like, we learn through each other. We learn, and I saw this post. I'm gonna see if I can try to bring it up for just a second, but we learn from our past, we learn from others' mistakes, we learn from each other and their mistakes, and then mistakes learn from us, because we're a mirror, right? Like, that is really, I know it's a silly post, but that's really what the post was trying to get at, is that we are mirrors for each other. We learn through each other, we learn through past mistakes. As a society, as an entirety, we have all of this like history, we have records, we have files, we're like, oh, well, that does that, and then there's a big explosion when that happens. So let's not do that part. And you know, it's how we make judgment. It's how we make better judgments. You know what I mean? So nobody, I don't believe. Now, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments down below, but please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button while you're at it, because I'm going to talk about a lot of really deep-ish, and it's important to question these things. Like, on a spiritual sense, I really don't think the gods had it figured out. Maybe they did. But there's a lot of like, what is truth? What is good? What is right? What is wrong? Like, how do we really make these moral judgments when we don't have spiritual ego? Now, my truth, there's a lot of different definitions for spiritual ego. You go with your gut, go with your intuition, speak your truth. Your voice is your superpower. However, you don't want to be leading a cult. I know it's kind of hard to tell with the black makeup, but it's Wednesday. We wear black on Wednesdays, besides the point. But what you really need to start doing is questioning the way things are laid out for us. And that can really explain a lot of why the world is so different in a lot of ways. Like, we have vegans, we have vegetarians, we have pescatarians, we have meat eaters, we have people who like literally just consume meat. I don't understand how that works, but it does apparently. But you know what I mean? Like, we have different people doing different things all the time, and they do these things based on their own moral integrity, their own moral judgment, and that goes along with spiritual ego for a lot of reasons. People have this idea that spirituality is all based on like religion and occultism or whatever it is. Like, there's a lot of misconstrued ideas about it. Really, spirituality in its purest form is about questioning things, right? So what do we do when we question things? We try to find some middle ground when we're questioning things, because we know that we're not going to be completely right. We know that we may be wrong, and maybe we do have this weird ego idea that we're completely right about everything, and that's usually flat earthers. Just kidding. Please don't hit that dislike button. I'm sorry. It was a joke. No, but seriously, there's a lot of different things. There's a lot of different perspectives that we take on, and we question each other. We have these conversations for a good reason, because it is important to question things. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, why would you follow the dude telling you to drink the Kool-Aid? I won't get into that one because that one's really deep and dark. But you know what I mean? Like, why would you just sit there and drink the Kool-Aid? Like, I hope you've heard of that term at least, because you may want to watch other people drink the Kool-Aid first. Just saying. It's there's a lot that we could be doing in following the wrong person if we're not sitting here making judgment calls based off our own experiences, our own moral judgment. We can make the wrong decision, and it could be life-threatening. There could be a lot of deceit attached to that. And you know, some of these things will really change us as a person. So you can go through some really bad things basing it off of what somebody has told you versus what you're telling yourself and making a better judgment call. Our intuition, and maybe it's not completely right, because your intuition is a lot different than that gut feeling in a lot of ways, because usually there's a lot more anxiety involved with your gut feeling. There's a lot more like anxious, I feel bad, my stomach is like turning type of. Maybe that intuition has a lot more to do with like deeper things, don't get me wrong, but like there's something really really divine about intuition, and you can understand it when you get the chills. It doesn't make you feel uncomfortable, but you're like, yeah, I got the chills. I've soaked up all of this information. It feels relevant. It feels important. I'm going to sit with this. I'm going to journal it. I'm going to write this down, and I'm going to think about it. I'm going to meditate on it, and I'm going to figure this out piece by piece based on what I'm feeling and what my own intentions and intuitive guidance is telling me. So sit with that. Really understand it, because spiritual ego is going to bring you on a divine path. And now, like, you can really, like, you can call these things whatever you want. There's so many different definitions, but the meat of it is we make spiritual ego present because it's important to us as individuals. It allows us to live freely. It allows us to make moral judgment calls. It allows us to put ourselves first with self-love, gratitude, and understanding that we are an important individual in this speck of earth. It may feel like we are not, because we're so tiny in this crazy world, but we are important. Every little piece of us is important. And that is like probably not the last time I'm going to tell you that, but you are important. You have this little piece of information. Your own perspective is very important because we're here as a giant experiment. Again, I don't think the gods had it all figured out because I feel like the world would be way different if they did. But maybe they had it all figured out because we're here experimenting and experiencing ourselves. Like, if you really understand, like, we have all of these trial and error things for a reason. Like, life is a big experiment. Like, how would you really know what to do, what to say if you didn't learn from the past and if you didn't understand that, just because other people portray themselves as having everything figured out, i.e., celebrities, ugh. But, like, there's a lot of things we have to question in order to understand and grow ourselves. And I really do believe in reincarnation. That aside, I feel like there's a lot of like basis, a foundation for all of these choices that we make, and our spirituality, our spiritual intuition, this energy in our brain. I've talked about the energy in our brains in our last video, the podcast, the paradigm shift. I was interviewed, by the way. I would definitely suggest watching that. It's a lot longer than my other videos, but it was a podcast interview. Definitely recommend it if you want to learn more about energy, mushrooms, spirituality. It has a lot of meat in there. But like, if you really want to understand, like, we have these paths and these choices that we make individually to experiment and understand like moral integrity and just life in general. Like, there's life and death, right? We have this divine balance. I don't know if you can see my shirt today. Losing my mind. I lost it a long time ago. I just like to wear this shirt because I got it at the gift shop. Just kidding. No, but seriously, like, we have so much in this world that we have to figure out. And how would we be able to do it and figure it out? Why would there be one dude on this hierarchy of tower, this giant pyramid scheme? Don't believe in pyramid schemes, by the way. Like, why would they have everything figured out? Maybe they do in a lot of energetic ways, like communication and what we do and choices that we make. Like, again, my belief is that the world was already created. We have all these doors and gateways. I don't know how many times I'm gonna have to reiterate this, but there's so many different choices and so many doors and pathways to like go through and make. But like, how do we make the better judgment? Because we learn from each other. We learn through these mirrors. We have this like system of thought process in our head where we start questioning things that other people are doing, other people are saying, and then we learn that sometimes people wear this facade. They wear this mask. Aside from the N65 mask or whatever it's called, those COVID things that I haven't worn this entire time. Ooh, that's gonna make somebody spicy on here. Like, we don't wear a mask for ourselves. We wear it for other people. There can be good things and there can be bad things. Sometimes people do wear these masks so they can show a facade and show a fake representation of who they are to other people. But usually you can use your intuition to kind of bypass that, especially if you're really, really connected with that sort of information. So what is this spiritual mask? It has a lot to do with breaking down actual ego and spiritual ego. So this facade, usually our sun sign, is usually what we present ourselves as to other people so they can love and accept us. And you can understand that through whatever you really want to comprehend it as. But like, we have spiritual ego to really connect us and bind us like morally and spiritually and divinely, and that is like its purest form. We have choices that we can make. We can either chase the spiritual realm, question more about reality, and try to be connected through society as a total and make humanity better, or we can just kind of follow along as like the sheep and fall off the cliff like everybody else is. So it really, like, it depends on what you feel is right and what is necessary, especially in your own choice making, because we have like You know, some of us have kids, some of us have lives, some of us have family members, and, you know, I mean, some of us don't. You know what I mean? Like there's so many things that we have to really weigh out and question and think about, and spirituality, spiritual ego is what's really going to bring you to those better judgment calls and make sure that you make the right choice based off of what's important to your own values and your own personal life, because there's some people who have everything to lose and some people don't. And, you know, you usually should question the people that don't have more to lose than you should question the people that have more to lose, but you should question both, really. Because either way, somebody can make a choice that's not going to be in your best interest, and that's why we have so many of the laws and politics that are so chaotic right now anyway. I don't want to get into that. But you know what I mean? Like, we have so many things that we have to really figure out as humanity, and how are we supposed to bring these things, these thoughts, and these concepts together if we don't have spiritual ego? If we're not here to protect ourselves, if we're not here to be there for each other, if we're not here to fix the mistakes that we've continuously made and break chains, break karmic cycles, break those chains and just smash them to little pieces, then what are we here for? Like, just to chill? I don't think so. I know it's in the name, but it ain't what I'm after. I want the world to be at least a little more calm. Because if you don't agree that there's a lot of chaos going on in the world right now, then I really don't know what planet you live on. But can you please send me an MVP, because I really would like to just visit just for like half an hour. But seriously, like, you know, there's so many things that we have to think about and conceptualize, and, you know, going through these experiences, these harsh experiences, the shadow work, and all of this thing, it really comes together to bring us into maybe I won't say better, because that's a little pretentious and I sound like Wonder Woman right now, but, you know, like, there's some really, like, important values that we have to really start thinking about and bringing together. I'm going to keep saying the same thing over and over again. It's going to get into your brain eventually. Like, if you're not here using your spiritual intuition, if you're not here to question things on an individual level, how are we supposed to have these important conversations? How are we supposed to really make better judgment and decide what is, like, not necessarily right or wrong, but, you know, do what's best for society as a whole? And how can we expect one person to have all of that figured out? I have no idea. But we have this weird thing in society where we put all this weight on one person, politics in particular. Like, we like to blame everything on one orange bad man or Biden or whatever, whoever. Like, we make it out like they are God and deciding everything. Like, they don't have that much decision making power as we give them. And the more power that you give them with that thought process, the more you're going to lose, because you're basically giving up everything. You're giving up your rights, you're giving up your belief systems, and you're basically saying, like, I failed before I even tried. So, yeah, not a good judgment call. Just just pointing that out there. So, you know what I mean? Like, we can't just sit here and say that everything's to blame for, like, one person or a group of people, and that is, like, because I've been on both spectrums. I have questioned both, or all, or not, maybe not all, but I've questioned a lot of things, like religion, and I've seen people base everything that's wrong in the world on, like, religion and occultism or whatever it is. And it's like, well, really? Are you really making that sound judgment call based off of your experiences, or are you basing that off of, like, trauma in particular? Because there's something you got to really like, understand. There's a thin line between trauma and experience, because trauma is a response, experience is a learning and understanding of things. Like, we go through experiences, and usually when we're past the trauma, there's trauma associated with experiences, but when we get past the trauma, we can learn that things are just an experience, and we are here to learn from them. And maybe that is a little harsh in a lot of sense, because there are some really bad things that we do go through individually. But you know what I mean? We learn, and there's a lot that we can grow from. I've seen a lot of growth in a lot of people, and really, you know, it goes through individual and what they have in their past and what they're going through currently. But like I've seen some really incredible growth from like people who have like lost like basically everything, motor skills. I've lost a lot of things. I don't really want to make this personal and make this about me, but I've personally gone through a lot in like really short a period of time, but I've done my best not to victimize myself and put myself on this lower pedestal where like life is out to get me. I have done that before, don't get me wrong. I have, you know, I think we all go through that type of mental breakdown, but we come back from it. We really do, for the most part. And it brings us into spiritual strength, which, I'll get into that a little bit deeper in a different video. But spiritual ego is what allows us to understand that we have this important factor in life and in reality, and that we are here importantly. We have a place. We may not feel like, we have anything going on for us because we're just like this little speck, or we don't have like a bunch of money, or we don't have like a lot of cars or really materialistic things. I don't really feel like there's going to be a lot of people watching this video that have that type of moral judgment. But it's there's things that we can really understand about ourselves when we realize that we have a lot more to be grateful for. Even though I don't believe in toxic positivity, that may sound a little toxic positive for you. I get it. I totally do. But like, we have a lot more to live for than what we give ourselves credit for. Like, creativity wise, like, I love art. I love looking at other people's art, and this is like another perspective here. I think this will bring it in a little bit to home, hopefully. I don't know, maybe it won't. But I told you I was bad with analogies, so I got better at that word though. Just kidding. Sorry. But art is a really big one. Like, we create things, and like a lot of artists were not famous when they created the things that they created, and then yeah, later on in life, after they bit the dust or whatever, they finally grew fame through people selling their art, and bringing it to like a focal attention for society. But now we have technology, and it's really crazy different. In a lot of ways, we have a lot more impact on the world around us individually, and we don't have like these hierarchy systems that make all these judgment calls on what's important and what is artistic. You know what I mean? Like, it goes through taste, value, and individualism. So like, you can post things online and really bring forth with the law of attraction and bring forth your audience, and you can attract what is meant for you that way. In a lot of ways, that is like the definition of law of attraction goes through technology. I know, go figure, right? But like, sometimes we do these things artistic wise, and we're like, yeah, this was trash. I do this all the time, by the way. I don't like this art piece that I did, but then somebody else sees its value. They actually see its worth, and then you're like, wow, maybe I'm a little hard on myself. And maybe there's a lot more to me than what I see through myself. You know what I mean? So, like, we are here as a society for a big reason. Like, we would just be this giant soul just hanging out with ourselves if there wasn't any important value to having a big entire community of people trying to figure things out. So, hopefully that brings in some sort of perspective. I know I was rambling a little bit, but I just wanted you to think about these things. Spiritual ego is what tells you that you do have actual value in the world around you. And when you do see the value of your individual important life, then you can make these decisions in society and put yourself out there, because we need better people. And I will say better for this specific reason. We need better people making better decisions in politics and morality, because the way things are going, I won't say that they're going in a negative way, but we have a lot of followers here, and I'm not talking about my channel because I really don't have that many followers, but like, there's a lot of people who just sit here and go with the flow, I won't even say go with the flow because that's putting them on some spiritual pedestal. No. They just go with whatever is told, what is right for them, because we saw that with COVID. Everybody was like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna judge you if you're not wearing a face mask. Oop, I said it. I won't talk about the C word too much because I don't want to get banned on YouTube. Apparently, you get banned for even mentioning the C word these days. So I want you to understand that, you know, when we are turned against each other through politics and through these doctors and hierarchy of people who have like whatever more impact because of their following system. A lot of celebrities started talking about COVID and basically told a lot of people that they were bad for not getting a vaccine or not wearing a mask. And it's like, if you don't question that, if you don't think that that's a little fishy, but because these people actually have impact through their followers. There's people who just like blindly follow celebrities, and it is crazy draining of energy. And you just, when you try to talk some sense into some of these people, even like, you know, separating yourself from like telling them, hey, like, those people are bad. When you just tell them to question that type of reality, they will turn against you. It is so bizarre. And that is the definition of occultism if I have ever seen it. So, I mean, you can tell me I'm a bad person for being a witch or whatever, but at least I'm not blindly following people and letting others like make my judgment calls. So, I'm going to end it with that note so you can at least kind of think about the next video that I'm going to be talking about and get some understanding of what the difference is between spiritual ego and regular ego, because I really do believe that these two exist separately and come together in a lot of divine ways as well, but they have separate definitions because, yeah, we got to get rid of our ego. Drink your water. As I'm losing my voice, I've talked for too long. But seriously, we have to really start to bring these concepts and ideas together and understand why we have been given both. Why as above, so below. Oh, I'm gonna die. I'm okay. But like, we really do have to bring these concepts and ideas together, whether it be my definition, your definition, somebody else's definition. We're here to think and create and wonder about the rest of the world and what is around us and what type of judgment calls we can make to try to have this ecosystem come together divinely. We'll see. I believe in us. So I hope that gives you a better idea and concepts of spiritual ego and what my representation is for it. Let me know what your representation for spiritual ego and regular ego. Have you ever thought about these concepts differently? Have you ever thought about them separately? Have you ever thought about them together? Because I really would like to know, because this is just my point of view. This is just my perspective, and yours matters too. Love you. Bye.